Are there any navigational tools that may guide me on my journey through the Bible? Navigational tools, such as a map and compass, are used by travelers when taking a journey into an unknown country. Well, I like to suggest a set of tools which will help navigate your journey through the books of the Bible. The first of these tools is the chronological chart of Bible books. As you know from our first study in this series on Bible reading, the books of the Bible are not listed in chronological order. Rather, they are arranged in a logical order. The first 17 books of the Old Testament are grouped together as historical books. The last 17 are prophetical books, and the middle 5 are experiential books. And then for the New Testament, the first 4 are grouped together as historical books detailing the life of Christ and the origin of the church. The 5th book stands alone as a historical record detailing the expansion of the church. The remaining 22 books are all letters. The first 9 were written by Paul to churches. The last 9 were written by various men to churches. And the middle 4 were written by Paul dealing with pastoral issues. Now, the books of the Bible may certainly be read according to this logical arrangement. And that's how many Christians read through the Scriptures. However, I would like to suggest another way to read through the books of the Bible. It may be done chronologically. To that end, I drew up a chronological chart several years ago for the church I pastored in London. The chart indicates where each book fits within a historical context. I have done this for the 39 books of the Old Testament and the 27 books of the New Testament. Now, the dates for each book is not an exact science. We do not know for absolute certainty when every book of the Bible was written and where it should fit on the timeline. There should be, therefore, a measure of flexibility on this matter. I hope you'll not be put off by this chronological chart if you don't entirely agree with the order in which I placed certain books. I'm not dogmatic on the matter. If you believe a book should be placed in a different order, then make that change in your notes and use your own chronological order of Bible books. The important thing, and that which I'm driving at in this study, is that a chronological chart will serve as an important navigational tool as you journey through the Bible. First, it will unify the biblical narrative of historic events. Second, it will more clearly demonstrate God's unfolding revelation of the covenant of grace. Third, it will nurture a sense of anticipation and suspense while moving from one book to the next. So, this is the first navigational tool I suggest will help guide you on your journey through the books of the Bible. You can access these Bible charts through the online resources of the Association of Historic Baptists. You'll find it located in the footnotes of this worship service, as well as a dedicated topic on the right side of the home page. Let's now look at the second navigational tool that will help you on your journey through the books of the Bible. Adam's chronological chart of universal history. Sebastian Adams, a descendant of President John Adams, was a distinguished educator, statesman, and author. As a teacher, Adams came to appreciate the indispensable usefulness of visual aids. It was to that end he produced this illustrative chart of history, not only marking the major events and significant people, but also highlighting the rise and fall of nations, world-changing inventions, significant literary productions, and great architectural achievements. But what makes this chart of history most helpful to us is that Adams incorporates the biblical narrative with secular history. Above the timeline is the historic record of the Bible. Below the timeline is the historic record of other historians. This means that as you read through the books of the Bible, you'll be able to align the biblical narrative with those events and people that were occurring at the same time in other parts of the world and recorded in other documents of history. I should also point out, Adams follows the dating system of Archbishop James Ussher, which means that Ussher's classic book, Annals of the World, may be used as a supplemental guide while reading through the books of the Bible. I recommend you obtain a digital and printed copy of Adam's time chart. And while you're at it, why not get a copy of Ussher's Annals of the World as well? You can find digital copies via a simple Google search, but be sure to download a high-resolution copy of the time chart so that you can clearly read the text. As for a printed copy of these resources, you can track down second-hand copies or reprints through various Christian bookshops and online stores such as Amazon. The last time I looked, both books cost around £30 to £40 each. Keep in mind, the time chart has 21 full-size panels which fold out to a length of 23 feet. That's as long as a small room. You could surround a small room with this time chart. My dear friends, I really believe these resources will prove a great blessing to you. I therefore hope you'll take the advice and obtain a personal, digital, and printed copy of them. Let's now look at the third navigational tool that will guide you on your journey through the books of the Bible. The time frame, or rather the framework of sovereign grace. The framework of sovereign grace is a diagram illustrating the main message of the Bible. I drew up this framework many years ago based on the teachings of Romans chapter 9 and 2 Timothy chapter 2. As you can see, this framework includes the timeline of history, as we have seen in the chronological order of Bible books and Adam's synchronological chart of universal history. But notice, this timeline is positioned within the broader context of God's master plan for the ages. The central message of the Bible is this: God is dispensing or administering grace to men and women throughout the course of history. That's it. It's that simple. Either God is administering a common grace unto all His creation, which includes the non-elect, or He is administering a special grace unto salvation towards His elect. Every man and woman, therefore, recorded in the Scriptures is an administration of God's grace in one or the other of these two ways. Henceforth, every event that has unfolded throughout the course of history is invariably linked with this leading message of the Bible. Everything revolves around this message. Now please notice, the first two navigational tools that I've recommended you use while reading through the Bible, they are historic overviews. They deal with the facts of history. Whereas this third tool is a theological overview. It deals with the meaning of history. The first two tools answer the question, what? Whereas this last tool answers the question, why? It's this last tool, the framework of sovereign grace, which will ultimately teach you how the Bible is relevant for today and how it relates to you as an individual. Now, you'll be able to access the framework of sovereign grace through the online resources of the Association of Historic Baptists. You'll find it located in the footnotes of this worship service, as well as a dedicated topic on the right side of the homepage. These, then, are the three navigational tools which I believe will serve as helpful guides as you journey through the books of the Bible. In our next study, I hope to give some further instructions on how to use the chronological chart of Bible books.